So Marnus, thanks for joining us on talkSPORT. Yeah, you're at Glamorgan. We want to talk to you really about county cricket because it's very rare for an overseas player to keep returning to the same county. So what is it about Glamorgan that wants you to keep going back?
Um, look, I always feel very thankful for Glamorgan for the opportunity they gave me in 2019. Mark Wallace, the director of cricket there, took a little bit of a punt on myself. He obviously heard a little bit about my character, but certainly my statistics and my runs on the board certainly weren't there. Um, to probably get an opportunity to be a county overseas, but I was lucky enough to get that opportunity. Um, so that's where it started, and then obviously just the love for the club and wanting to go on the journey to get to Division One. I think that's really my goal with the club, and I want to make sure we're going in the right direction, and I want to be there when we do go up, so we can challenge. In years to come for the big trophy, but I think that's what keeps driving me to come back to the same club. Is that that want and that will for the club to do well and to go up.
Mm. And we've seen with county cricket, every time England lose an Ashes, every time you beat England in an Ashes series, county cricket comes under the radar. From your experience of playing, what do you make of the standard, and do you think that criticism is a bit unfair?
Look, I mean, it is what it is. I think it's different. You guys get the first class cricket in Australia. Without the Duke ball and as much swing and seam, or maybe not as much seam, but as much swing. Um, guys just grow up in a different fashion. They need to bowl slightly quicker. Where guys are playing 14 games plus, 12 one-day games plus 14 T20s. And, some of those guys, bowlers are playing all of those games. They're just not going to be able to bowl 140 plus. So unless you're a good squad like Surrey that can sort of pick and choose when you play guys like Gus Atkinson or you mix it in with your other bowlers. It's very hard to have guys that bowl, that sort of mid 140s hitting 90. So I think that's always going to be the challenge for county cricket. I think there's certainly, I wouldn't say it's a less skillful in any way. I think it's just, once you start playing test cricket, you realise, your back foot game needs to be a little bit better. You're going to be challenged with a short ball more. It's a bit quicker pace. So you might have to make some technical changes. So that's probably the only difference for guys to come up into that jump.
Mm. And with the county cricket itself, naturally, you saw the likes of Ricky Ponting play for Surrey back in the day, Shane Warne playing for Hampshire. Did seeing those as a young Australian growing up and aspire to be a professional cricketer, did that draw you to England and maybe want to try out playing English cricket domestically?
Oh, look, it's always something I wanted to play because it was always on when I wasn't playing cricket, and I
Mm.
always wanted to play cricket all year round. I wanted to be a professional cricketer. I wanted to continue to get better, play as much as I can. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say those guys really had a great influence because probably in those early days there wasn't the coverage of Champo cricket or the like there is now. So you didn't really always get to see those guys play, county cricket.
Mm. Yeah, and just finally on county cricket, we're talking while we're on a long drive to Kent. You're in a motorway service station. You've played blast games a couple of days ago. You got another one tomorrow. What have you made of the schedule in English cricket? This seems relentless for the guys at the moment. And how are you dealing with it?
No, I'm fine. I mean, it's easy to sort of put in 100% when you got a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. I leave back for Australia on Monday, so it's one big push for me, and then it's a bit of a break. But for guys that are here all year round, yeah, it's a packed schedule. And once again, it comes back to the depth of your squad. Like if you're Surrey or one of the slightly bigger counties, you can sort of work around resting players and sort of getting that balance. But for the smaller counties like ourselves, it's very difficult because you have guys that have to play every game, and you have to keep going and keep going and keep going. So I think that's the real conversation piece is just, yeah, how do you get the right balance? I mean, 14 Champo games, 14 Blast games, the 100, and then, the one-day comp as well within that. It's it's certainly a lot of cricket.
When you mentioned going back to Australia on Monday, you've got your summer at least India to Australia. How much are you looking forward to that battle again? Because they got one over you last time out. So how much are you looking forward to maybe getting a bit of revenge?
Well, I mean, firstly, we got the one-day series here against England. So I'll be
Yeah.
back here in September. So that's probably my next focus point. And then, yeah, it'll be a pretty quick shift there to the Test summer.
And just on the current Australia Test side you're in, there's so many modern day greats in the game, but there's a lot of talk about them being sort of mid to late 30s now. How much are you, as someone who's 30 now, relishing that challenge of maybe being a leader in that next generation of Australian cricketers potentially coming through in the years to come?
Look, it's always important to make sure you're leading, and for me, leading from the front is with the bat and making sure that I'm scoring runs for Australia. And I think the rest sort of take cares of itself. But yeah, it's a great opportunity. Our squad's moving into a slightly different era, but I mean, we still got the likes of Steve Smith, Mitchell Stark, Josh Hazelwood. These guys. They're here. Nathan Lyon. So we got enough guys there. Usman Khawaja. So once they sort of, in the next 4 years, we might be in a slightly different position. But right now we're in a really nice space to take on India.
And you were given the captaincy at Queensland earlier this year. Is captaincy of the Australian Test side perhaps an ambition in the years to come once Paddy gives it up?
Oh, mate, I'm not really sure what's going to happen there. I think, always when this question comes up, if someone asks you if you want to captain the Australian Test side, yeah, you're never going to turn that down. But what I would say is for me that the focus is just completely with Queensland. It's captaincy is about leadership, making sure that you're doing the right thing for the team and that you're able to help players achieve their best, and that's all I want to do with Queensland. And the Australian captaincy stuff, that might come up later, and if it does, that's a great opportunity, and we'll cross that bridge when it comes. But right now, it's just relishing this opportunity with Queensland.
And it's obviously you're in England at the minute. There's been a big week for the England's Test side last week. Jimmy Anderson's last Test. Just give us your thoughts on Jimmy and your battles over the years. Now he's retired.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's just a quality bowler. I think his ability, his longevity, his skill set. Yeah, I think also his ability to adapt and learn. To see him do so well in the subcontinent for so many years, it's very impressive, and it's something that it's aspiring to see someone at the age of 40 still be able to play so well. So it's a credit to him.
I'm just fine.
I mean, any England team that doesn't have Jimmy Anderson in it certainly makes you a little bit more relaxed as an Australian, that's for sure. But I mean, like I said, the new crop of bowlers for England look like they're pretty good. They got some really nice bowlers. They got some pace and bounce. So yeah, it's going to be a great summer next year.
And you got the Ashes to come in England in 27 as well. You went so close last year, a 2-2 series draw. Just the fact that you're playing for Glamorgan and have played for Glamorgan for several years in English conditions, does that give you confidence whenever an Ashes series comes around that you have shown that you can do it?
Yeah, yeah, it does. I mean, I think always just playing cricket and being able to learn more conditions, and you're just taking in each game, regardless if you do good or bad, you're just taking in more information. So I think that always helps towards something. But I mean, obviously didn't have the greatest summer last year out in England. Certainly by my standards, that was well down on what I would like. But I mean, that's the reality. I learned a lot from that series, and hopefully when 2027 rolls around, I'll be ready to go, and I would have learnt a lot about my trade, and be able to actually win a series in England, rather than just draw it.
And just finally for me, and thanks for your time. You talked about struggling in England last year, but you did get that 100 at Old Trafford in that rain-affected test. So the fact that you've had a bit of a rough patch for your standards, but then came through it with that 100, does that just show the spirit in you and the spirit in this Australia side that they sort of never give up, really?
Yeah, I think, I mean, a 5 test match series, it's always tricky, because you're always developing, you're always working towards something, and I felt like by that time in the series I was batting really well, so that was a really good time, and I felt like I was gonna score runs by the time we got to Old Trafford. But yeah, I think that's one thing we've done well as a test team for probably the last 3-4 years, is that we keep finding ways to win games, even if we're behind the 8 ball or not doing that well. Someone always stands up, and that's that's what's great about this Australian team.
And what's it like being part of that group though? You're in the changing rooms with so many people that will go down as legends of Australian cricket. It must be a pretty good feeling playing in this test side at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, we're a very, very good test team at the moment, and we just want to make sure we keep doing that. We keep doing the basics and continue to get better. I think we haven't really played our best yet, and so hopefully the next 18 months we can really show everyone how good this Australian team actually is.
Perfect. We'll leave it there. Thanks for your time. Appreciate you joining us.
Pleasure. Have a great day.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.